Throughout the world, there are ancient traditions that identify the center of the head as being synonymous with the center of the earth, the center of the universe, and the very center of creation itself. This center is often depicted as egg-shaped and is identified in some cultures as the third eye.
When you talk about the third eye, it's about enlightenment. It's about this connection to the great unknown or the force of the universe. We think that we are separated from the world, when in reality, we are all connected to every single object in the universe. And that inherently means that we are directly connected.
Is it possible that the cosmic egg isn't only a symbol for the universe or how the universe was formed, but represents a connection that exists within each and every human to the cosmos? Shaped like two identical eggs, the thalamus lies at the center of the brain and is the hub responsible for relaying information from most of the sensory receptors. Scientists studying the effects of thalamic stimulation on comatose patients have recently suggested the thalamus might be the most important factor in human consciousness.
The thalamus is like a relay station in the brain. So you have all the primary sensory information coming in, like information coming in your eyes, through your retina, and through your ears, and all these sensations. The first place they go after the primary sense organs is they get funneled to the thalamus. And then the thalamus sorts out this information and relays it to the various parts in the cortex that process that primary sensory information. If the thalamus is damaged, usually it will knock out consciousness. It's a very critical point where all the information comes to, and then it's distributed in the cortex.
The thalamus is called the lamp, the open eye, even the third eye. And when you look at this, you wonder, was it in fact a gift from extraterrestrial beings that awakened us, that enabled us to become connected to the divine or extraterrestrial realm? Perhaps the extraterrestrials that had a hand in fashioning the human body and tweaking the human brain placed the thalamus there in its egg shape as a connecting link to the greater civilization out of which we originally emerged.
Could the thalamus be the physical representation of what ancient cultures referred to as the third eye? And if so, might this brain structure act as a connection to greater forces in the universe? As incredible as this notion may seem, ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the thalamus can also be found represented in one of the most prominent symbols of ancient Egypt, the Eye of Horus.
The Eye of Horus, also known as the Eye of Ra, was a symbol of protection, royal power, and good health. But it was also known as the Eye of Providence, the all-seeing eye of God. Now, what is incredible is if you look at the thalamus and all of the structures surrounding that, it looks like the Eye of Horus. The similarity is really pretty astonishing.
Humans have been mesmerized by the moon since the dawn of man. And although many theories have been proposed, scientists cannot say with absolute certainty how this celestial object came into being.
When I was a student, nobody really knew where the moon came from, and because it's so relatively big, this was a real problem. And I think that there is a tendency to think that moons get somehow captured by the parent planets. If you've got one body here and another body coming along, it can't just get trapped into orbit like that. The difficulty there is just basic physics. So this remained a puzzle until about 20 years ago, when another theory came along, and that is that the proto-Earth was very early on in the history of the solar system hit by a Mars-sized body, hit obliquely, that this Mars-sized body plowed into the center of the Earth and became the Earth's core, and a lot of the outer material got stripped off by this gargantuan collision and coalesced to form the Moon.
Now, they had to come up with a very bizarre theory for how the Moon came into being, because all the conventional theories don't make any sense. The best theory of the Moon's formation is phantasmagorically catastrophic collision of two things, you know, at just the right angle to form this belt of debris that then formed the Moon. But the Moon, its exact size is such that it gives us total eclipses. Its disk exactly covers the sun. And the chances of that occurring are so literally astronomically small. It's very disturbing.
The sun's diameter is 400 times greater than the moon. And coincidentally, the sun also happens to be nearly precisely 400 times further away. This is the reason that the sun and the moon appear the same size in the Earth's sky, and why we on Earth can experience eclipses of the sun.
It's just perfectly in that orbit to eclipse our sun. The odds of the moon being in that orbit accidentally are 1,000,000,000 to 1. So that right there is evidence that our moon is in a perfect orbit around our planet that's not accidental.
In order to have a solar eclipse, the moon has to be exactly the size that it is, which is 2,160 miles. Not 2,161, not 2,159, but 2,160 miles at its equator. And there are people out there that actually think that's a coincidence. The fact is that that is by design.
Throughout our observable galaxy, this relationship and others have not been duplicated. Other moons are sizably smaller by comparison to their mother planet. Earth's satellite not only orbits closer than it should for its size, it is also the only moon in the solar system that has a near-perfect circular orbit. And no other lunar bodies are known to have such a stabilizing role as the moon has with the Earth.
Recent computer simulations have shown that without the moon's presence, the Earth's axis tilt would be completely different than it is today. We might not even have seasons as we know them presently. Without the seasons, it could be very difficult for life on Earth. So the moon is actually performing an incredible function. It's life-sustaining. Without it, we might not be here.
There are so many peculiarities about the way the moon has affected the Earth that one might be forgiven for believing that there is intelligence behind it, that something made it that way. The moon is so strange, so odd, in terms of what we find elsewhere in the solar system, and particularly in terms of what it does for the Earth, having made the Earth into a haven for life, that one feels obliged to ask the question, could such things have come about by chance? Was it placed there deliberately? Was it engineered?
Although completely invisible to the naked eye, a virtual universe of electromagnetic waves permeates our entire world. And this vast network of impulses carries within it information and data that we have come to depend on in our digital age. It is the backbone of what is otherwise referred to as the cloud, which remotely stores billions of gigabytes of data.
When we think about the cloud, what we're really talking about is data transfer, information transfer. You're sending bits of information through the air, wirelessly, up to satellites, down to servers, back again, into your computer, into your phone, and there's close to 7 billion people using cloud computing now. So you can imagine that pretty much anywhere on the planet that has internet access, you're going to find these hidden sort of secret patterns and codes that are floating around us.
According to historians, the concept of an intergalactic computer network was first proposed by scientist J.C.R. Licklider in the 1960s. However, ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the idea may actually trace all the way back to our ancient past. Corva Island, Raichur, India. Religious pilgrims seeking enlightened wisdom travel here to a temple dedicated to the celestial sage Narada. According to the Hindu scriptures, Narada had the supernatural ability to gain access to a hidden domain that most humans are completely unaware of, the realm of cosmic knowledge.
Tales about Narada appear in the Mahabharata, in the Ramayana, in the Puranas. Tradition has it that Narada transcended consciousness to gather his stories and give teachings of great wisdom.
Narada is called Narada Rishi. Rishis are like sages in Western concept. So they have gained this ability to be able to tap into the knowledge, access that knowledge directly from the cosmos.
Narada is interesting specifically that he clearly had access to an essential knowledge that is at the fabric of the divine cosmic order.
This idea of an otherworldly repository of cosmic information is most commonly referred to today as the Akashic Record. The term was coined in 1883 by author Alfred Percy Sinnett in his book, Esoteric Buddhism. In it, he describes how, according to Eastern philosophy, universal records physically exist in the ever-pervasive realm known as the Akasha, which can be accessed by enlightened individuals.
Akashic is the Sanskrit word. It means sky. So Akashic records can be considered as cosmic knowledge. So it is belonging to the cosmos. Everything is written in the sky. So it's not belonging to human beings. You simply cannot go and bring it in such a tangible form. It's something that can be accessed through your mind, through your brain power, through your spiritual wavelength.
The Akashic field, it's the immeasurable potential of all that was, is, and will ever be.